Hi everyone. So in this video today, we're going to have a little look at regenerative braking on the Polestar 2 and the effect that that has on the electrical consumption. So over the last couple of days, I've been trying out the regenerative braking options a little bit more. I first started off on the car with just using the standard one pedal driving. So if you're new to an electric car, this is something you probably wouldn't have seen before, but one pedal driving basically lets you use the accelerator to speed up and also ease off your slow down. So regenerative braking puts the motors into action to get them to recover as much energy as possible from the wheels and put that back into the battery for you. So on the standard setting of the Polestar 2, it's fairly aggressive, but it's a really nice way to drive. You can pretty much get away with driving an entire route using just one pedal. That's the idea of the concept. But there are some discussions about how this may actually impact your electrical usage. So it'll be interesting to see in the car how the difference between the one pedal driving off and the standard setting will impact the range of the car theoretically, and what kind of electrical consumption we'll get from that. So we're going to do a couple of short trips. I've preconditioned the car. I've driven it for about 10 minutes just to make sure everything's warmed up. Battery is probably warmed up a little bit, let's hope, because I want to eliminate that as a variable within this test. So we're going to start off first with the one pedal drive off and do a short, it's about I think it's just over 7 miles. So I'm going to go up the motorway with the A23, the dual carriageway, turn around and come back. So I want to try and avoid variables. So I'm going to drive at 70 miles an hour and be as gentle as possible with the accelerator and try and repeat that in these two tests and see how that pans out on this short trip. Okay, let's go. One pedal driving off first. Okay, so we're back from that test, and it was interesting to see what it was like to drive that short route with the one pedal driving off. So in terms of actual numbers and what we got from that, well, it's 34.2 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, and I think it was 45 miles per hour that we managed to achieve on the average speed there. So we'll do it again with the one pedal driving set to standard and see how that compares. So one thing I find what it's like to drive at one pedal driving off, for me, feels a little bit odd now because I've become so accustomed to driving electric cars or plug-in hybrids that have some regenerative braking that having that one pedal driving off felt really strange. And actually, unlike a normal combustion engine car, when you've got gears and you're driving a manual car and you take your foot off the accelerator, there's some engine braking that takes place. You get some resistance. But with this, with the one pedal driving off, you get basically nothing. If anything, it feels like it's still slightly powering the wheels. So you can see in this clip that the slowdown rate when you take your foot off the accelerator on a level surface feels very, very slow. So if you were driving one pedal drive off, you could technically take your foot off a long way in advance of where you wanted to coast to, and it will take quite some time to slow yourself down. I found that a little bit strange and not the most comfortable way to actually drive the car. So let's go out and try it again in standard and see what we get this time. Great, let's go. Okay, so back from the drive with the one pedal driving set on standard mode, and exactly the same journey as we did before, and it's just very interesting to see how these two compare. So in this particular case, we managed 33.5 kilowatt hours per 100 miles and an average speed of 48 miles an hour. So although we actually traveled that distance a little bit faster, interestingly, the electrical consumption was actually slightly better. I didn't really expect that. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing. The one pedal driving on standard, I do much prefer driving that way. It just, I don't think I use the brake at all. I didn't touch the brake pedal. And it's very easy when you get used to it to anticipate and use that pedal just to slow yourself down without touching the brakes. So I do find that really, really useful. So one thing though that is worth thinking about on that is that the way I drove there on the standard one pedal is actually I covered the distance a little bit quicker, so my average speed was higher. If you assume that average speed is going to use more energy, generally motorway driving, according to manufacturers' claims, is going to be less efficient than town driving because of wind resistance and things like that, drag. Then actually, if you factor that back, if you were to use a multiplier, it works out on the one pedal driving mode at standard that I actually did 31.35 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. So that's even better. So I think this test, you know, is probably one of the most pointless tests that you can actually do, because at the end of the day, I think the best thing to do is to drive the way that you feel most comfortable. Perhaps with the one pedal drive mode off, I didn't anticipate far enough in advance. For easing off, perhaps I used the brake pedal too much and didn't take full advantage of the regenerative braking of the motors, which may have caused the brake pads to actually kick in. That's one factor. One pedal driving set on standard I'm more used to driving on. So it may be that that this test really doesn't prove anything. More to the point, from my experience on this very short test, the one pedal driving on standard got me better consumption. So that's all I can gather from that. However, I think the best thing to do is to just drive the way you want to drive and whatever makes it feel more comfortable for you. So I hope this short video was useful in some way, and if you could like, share, subscribe, I'd really appreciate that, and I'll be back again with another video very soon. Thank you.